without further ado, we're going to get into chapter 56.
56, where we left off, the King Basilisk Arcanist. So Volke had just shadow stepped up to the throne room. We don't really know why Zelfrey didn't follow, but Volke is alone in the throne room, and he stumbles across Prince Rishan, who had actually disabled the nullstone. So the queen ends up storming in, and along with Prince Rishan, there's also a man in a hood, and he is introduced as the King Basilisk Arcanist. He's wearing this armor made out of King Basilisk scales. Definitely not a good sign when that's your armor. And he wants revenge for his family being killed. So the queen had killed off what she thought to be all the King Basilisks, but she missed one. I'll go back so you can say it. I'm not stealing your line. I'm not stealing your line. And in there with the queen and Rishan, there's a man in a hood, and he's introduced to be the King Basilisk Arcanist. He's wearing armor made out of King Basilisk scales. Definitely not a good sign. And he's come for revenge because the queen killed off his entire bloodline.
Looks like she missed one.
A pretty important one, it turns out to be.
Right.
So he is out for revenge, and he sprays the queen along with all the other guards in the throne room with poison. So poison from a King Basilisk, it's supposed to be one of the most deadly poisons. She sprays fire from her sovereign dragon. She's immune to the poison because of trinkets. So one of the things we kind of learned earlier was that the whole guard and everyone all had these unicorn trinkets to protect her. So the poison isn't effective. She returns fire with fire. She fights fire with fire. But the hatchling actually jumps in front and ends up protecting Rishan. Rishan takes out a pouch, empties it, and all the trinkets in the room turn to dust. And we come to find out that this is a nullstone dust. So it's a powder, and along with dissolving all the trinkets goes her immunity to poison and the guards' immunities to poison. So everyone falls to the ground dead.
Freaking fat pouches. People not taking them seriously.
No, Zaxxas would be very jealous of the fat pouch usage.
But it didn't go boom.
It did not go boom, but it did it had its own effect. So along with all of their trinkets, the Wendigo trinket that Volke had as well, so that's broken, so he's no longer has plague immunity. The evil group, I'm not quite sure what to call them, ends up teleporting in. So there's 20 people that teleport into this throne room. And in addition to that is a King Basilisk.
This is definitely a gang.
A gang would be a good word for it.
Yeah, this is definitely a gang right here.
Yes. And they're out for blood. So, and specifically, they're out for Sovereign Dragon blood. So they make a comment that they want to not only kill the Sovereign Dragon, but cut out its heart, which, given the potency of the dragon's magic, would be a pretty strong trinket.
That's one big trinket. What would that even do? They give them, I guess it'd be all dependent on what they imbued it with, but
I don't know. I mean, you could get the fire. I don't know if there's a way to tap into the aura, so you could maybe get like a mini prosperity bubble just around your house or something.
Like, shoot, I want white flames. Like, I feel like Zaxxas, he could have benefit pretty good from the white flames.
Yeah, he really could really enhance it.
Or even the prosperity, because then he'd be able to just continuously, not only could he heals himself because he's an arcanist, he heals himself because he's a Phoenix arcanist, and then he get the prosperity aura, so it'd be like a 3-stack.
He really went for the stacking the buffs there. Stack all my warrior buffs, leaning heavy into it. So along with all these arcanists, there's also a bunch of plague creatures that are now released into the palace. So they are out to steal the crown, as we heard earlier. They specifically want to go after Evianna, assuming to kind of kill off the bloodline. And Akiva, who is the King Basilisk Arcanist, specifically says that he's going to go in and take care of the Inquisitors, who they know are patrolling the area looking to stop anything that comes up. Volk ends up sending Luther to warn everybody. So he understands that, hey, we're better off splitting up, as every horror movie will tell you. And Volk is going to somehow save Evianna while Luther is going to warn everybody else of what's going on so that they can try and escape.
I imagine that Luther was probably really upset about this. I know in the book he talks about not wanting to split up because this is exactly what happened with his last arcanist. He split up and Mathis died. And props to Luther. I completely understand where he's coming from, not wanting to split up, but you got to save as many people as you can, so it makes sense logistically.
It cuts deep though when you've gone through it before, and especially with there being a King Basilisk Arcanist, like death is a probability at that point, not just a possibility, but a good probability. So
let's hope the dice roll ain't too high.
Yeah. The end of the chapter is this cool moment where we heard about kind of the fable birth of nightmares, so we do actually see one forming from Queen Valletta. So Laetial the Nightmare comes into being from the death of a ruler.
Like it gave me chills reading this, because as soon as she died, I'm like, wait a minute, this is the moment. This is how nightmares are made. Oh my gosh, she's about to turn into a nightmare.
Yes, we get to see it happen.
With that is the end of this week's episode, with a quick reminder that John Stovall will be our guest next week for an interview. Again, he has his own RPG series. He has several series actually in that genre of books. We're so excited to talk to him. We do want to thank everybody for listening. We post every Wednesday morning around 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central, 8 Pacific. In that we are on all podcasting platforms along with YouTube, so kind of catch us wherever you want. If you want to watch us on video or listen to us in person, Dan Mackison, who is our editor, does a very great job at adding pictures and links to things. So if you want to watch the YouTube, it does have some cool pictures in there he throws in there for us. So if you want to reach out, you can get us at Gmail at frithguildpod@gmail.com, or reach out to us on Facebook or pretty much any other social media at Frith Guild Podcast. We want to thank the Frith Chronicles Wiki, and that is such a great resource. I know there's going to be a lot of updates coming to it soon whenever the bestiary comes out, so just be on the lookout for that. And Scott, do you have anything else you wanted to add to it?
No, excited to talk to John and get a little more insight into this family of writers.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks all for listening, and we'll see you next week.